English Grammar Basics, 30 everyday idioms that I use and how to use them, plus my bonus favourites. So wait till the end not to miss them.
Do you speak English?
Yes, I do. Come join us. For help with pronunciation, intonation, fluency, accent reduction and more.
EasyNativeEnglish.com. Hi everyone, so today we're going to look at 30 idioms that I use personally and that I like to use. Now, idioms are figurative language. They're not literal. So if I say over the moon, that does not mean that you literally go over the moon. It means that you're really happy. You're so happy that you could go over the moon. So English becomes really complicated when we start looking at expressions and figurative language, which idioms really are. Now, idioms come from different parts of life. So, for example, there's lots of war idioms, there's lots of medical idioms, there's different idioms to go with different aspects of life. Now, what I'm going to look at in this video are 30 of my most used idioms, and if you wait till the end you'll also get a couple of bonus ones that I really like using. Okay, so let's dive in and see the 30 idioms that I use regularly or as often as I can in my own speech. So let's dive in. Get along or get on. Now these have two slightly different meanings. Get along means to be nice to each other, whereas get on can mean to be nice to each other, or it can mean to get a job done. So let's have a look at how you'd use them together. Now, I would use this if I was in a classroom and there were a couple of children that were not getting on with each other. If they're working together on a project, or there's something that they have to do together but they don't want to work together, then I would say, please just get along together. The next one, can you just get on with it? Now, this one is slightly different because this suggests that they're not doing the work. Now, they could not be doing the work because they're chatting too much, or they're having too much fun, or they're being silly together, or messing around. Now, that does not mean that they're not being nice to each other. It just means that they're not doing their job. So, can you just get on could mean, can you be nicer to each other, or it could mean, can you just get the job done or get your work done? The next one, just get on with it. That means, can you get the job done? This has nothing to do with being nice to one another. The one after that, are you going to get on? That can mean, are you going to get on with your job? Are you going to get it finished? Or it could mean, are you going to be friends now? Are you going to get on and be nice to each other? So there's two slightly different meanings with get on. And the last one, they are not going to get along. Get along specifically means they are not being nice to each other. They are not prepared to work together, and that's going to cause a problem. So they are not going to get along would be something that I would say to somebody else about a couple of people or a couple of children that are not being nice to each other, that are being quite unfriendly. So let's go through the 5 again. Please just get along together. Can you two just get on? Just get on with it. Are you going to get on? They are not going to get along. Okay, the next one. Hang in there or hang on. Now this, again, the two of them have slightly different meanings, but they can also mean the same thing. Now, they both have to do with waiting patiently in a bad situation. They basically mean wait, it will be fine. So, hang in there, I'm coming, meaning I know you've got a problem, just wait, I'm coming. The next one, hang on, I'm going to get help. Again, similarly, it means I know you're in trouble, but just wait, I'm going to go and get help. The next one, hang in there, someone's coming. Now, this can also mean that somebody's had an injury, or they may have had an accident and they're maybe passing out, as in they're fainting, and you're saying to them, don't faint, just stay conscious, someone's coming to help. The next one, just hang on, everything will be all right. Again, this is similar to the previous one, where there's been an injury or something's happened and you're hoping that the person will stay conscious and you're trying to reassure them. So again, just hang on, everything will be all right, because somebody's going to get help. The next one, just hang in there, it'll be over soon. Now this is slightly different. This doesn't necessarily mean there's an injury. This means that there's a bad situation going on. For example, they may be not well, or they may just be stressed because they've got exams or things like that, but it's something that's going to pass. So for example, you could have an exam and you're getting really stressed about it, but obviously the exam date's going to end. So you could say, just hang in there, it'll be over soon. Okay, or you might have to go for some medication, you might have to have an injection, and the person could say to you, just hang in there, it'll be over soon. So we have, hang in there, I'm coming, hang on, I'm going to get help, hang in there, someone's coming, just hang on, everything will be all right, or everything will be all right, and just hang in there, it'll be over soon. Okay, now we come to the last straw. This means that you've had enough. Now, this comes from a situation, or from the idea that camels carry lots of things on their backs. Now, let's imagine that they're carrying a lot of straw. The idiom comes from the phrase, the last straw that broke the camel's back. So if you imagine there's a camel carrying a very heavy load and it can't really carry on and take any more, but you just put one more straw on its back and then it falls around because it's the last straw that broke the camel's back. Now, a straw is very, very light. You don't really need to add lots of straw onto something that's already very heavy. So the last straw that broke the camel's back would be the last tiniest little thing that was added to the camel that finally made it give up. The way that the idiom is used is, that was the last straw, meaning something has happened, even if it's the smallest thing that happened, it was enough to make somebody go, I've had enough, I'm not doing this anymore. The next one, had enough, that was the last straw. It just emphasizes the fact that something else has gone wrong and the person has had enough. They don't want to deal with the situation anymore. And then we have, he's gone too far this time. That's the last straw, meaning somebody has done something. It could be something very trivial, but it was enough to say, that's it. They're not going to give that person another chance. They've done too many bad things too many times and the person has had enough. Okay, so that was the last straw. I've had enough. That's the last straw. Or he's gone too far this time. That's the last straw. That's how we would use that idiom in these situations. Okay, the next one. Glad to see the back of it. Now this means that you're glad to see the end of a situation. Okay, glad it's over. So let's have a look at some sentences that uses it. I'll be glad to see the back of them. So if you've had some people come and stay with you, or you've had to deal with some people at work, maybe they had an appointment or they had a meeting and they were really, really awkward or difficult and you didn't want to deal with them again, then you would say, I'll be glad to see the back of them. Similarly, I'll be glad to see the back of it. So if there's a bad situation, or for example, you had a car that broke down and it's been causing you lots of trouble, or if you're trying to get rid of it, you could say, I'll be glad to see the back of it. The next one, I'm glad to see the back of him or her. So if somebody has been causing you problems and causing you trouble, and they're going to be leaving soon, then you could say, I'm glad to see the back of him or her once it's happened. Then the last one, I can't wait to see the back of it. Meaning, again, let's go back to the car. I can't wait to see the back of the car. Meaning it's going to drive away and you are going to see the back of the car, literally. So when it goes away, I can't wait to see the back of it, meaning it's going to go away and you'll be glad when it's gone. Right, the next one, knee-jerk reaction. Now this means reacting without thinking. So it's reacting very, very quickly to good news or bad news. So for example, we have the sentences, that was a knee-jerk reaction, meaning you reacted very quickly, usually inappropriately, to the news that was given. If somebody heard that somebody had a baby and they started screaming and shouting for joy, then that would be a knee-jerk reaction. They had an instant reaction to the news. Or if somebody says that was an odd knee-jerk reaction, meaning why did they behave like that? That was an odd thing to do because they reacted too quickly without probably thinking about what they were doing. And then the next one, sorry, that was a bit of a knee-jerk reaction. So if we go back to somebody hearing some good news and then suddenly just giving out a little scream or a shout because they couldn't control themselves, that again would be a knee-jerk reaction. And then I would have understood it if that had been a knee-jerk reaction. But sometimes people react and do things they shouldn't do, but it's taken them time to react like that. And you can forgive people having knee-jerk reactions because sometimes it just takes over and you don't realize. But if somebody has done something and they had time to think about it, but they chose the wrong action, then you could say, I would have understood if that had been a knee-jerk reaction, meaning the action they took was not appropriate and yet they had time to think about it. So if we go through them again, that was a knee-jerk reaction. That was an odd knee-jerk reaction. Sorry, that was a bit of a knee-jerk reaction. That's an apology because you didn't mean to react like that. It just kind of took you by surprise. Or, I would have understood if that had been a knee-jerk reaction. Okay, the next one. It's getting out of hand. Now this means it's getting out of control. It's going badly. It's the opposite of all in hand, which means under control. So when everything is in your hand or in your hands, then it's under control. But when you release something and it's causing trouble, then it's getting out of hand. It's got out of hand. So let's have a look at some of these. Stop them. They're getting out of hand. So there could be a couple of children or adults fighting and somebody saying, stop them. They're getting out of control. The next one is he or she's getting out of hand, meaning they're doing things they shouldn't be doing. Then we have this situation is getting out of hand. So we could have a situation, not just people. So for example, you could have a photocopier or have a piece of machinery that is just letting go and releasing lots of paper and you can't stop it when it shouldn't be doing that. So you could say the situation is getting out of hand. Or you could be having a meeting and then people are getting very angry during the meeting, which isn't normally what happens, and that could be getting out of hand. We also have it's gone too far. They've got out of hand. So after the situation has happened, then you could turn around and say, it's gone too far. They've got out of hand. And then, finally, we have, if you leave it, they'll get out of hand. So now we're talking in the future tense, as in something has to be done now to stop it getting out of control. Okay, so we have, stop them, they're getting out of hand. He, she's getting out of hand. This situation is getting out of hand. It's gone too far, they've got out of hand, and if you leave it, they'll get out of hand. Okay, the next one, the ball's in your court. This simply means it's now your turn. you have to make a decision. Now, this is the type of term that you use when there's a discussion or there's something to be resolved. Now, the court that we're referring to here is a tennis court. So, in the game of tennis, you hit the ball to your opponent and then they hit the ball back. So the idea is you take it in turns, so each side has a turn to put forward their argument. So let's have a look at some sentences. I've got nothing to say. The ball's in your court. Meaning I've said all I'm going to say. Now it's your turn to say what you think. The next one, you decide. The ball's in your court. So I'm not going to make a decision now. You decide what's going to happen. We just have to wait. The ball's in their court now. Meaning if there's a meeting and you're on one side of a discussion and there's another team or group that are making a decision as well, and you've said all you have to say, then sometimes you have to wait until the other side make their decision. So you could say, we just have to wait, the ball's in their court now. Then we have, isn't the ball in your court? You have to decide. So somebody could be asking, you have to make a decision. Have you not made a decision yet? Isn't it your decision to make now? So isn't the ball in your court? You have to decide. And then we have, the ball's in their court. Let's see what they decide. So meaning you haven't got the final decision. Somebody else has the final decision. It could be your boss. You've put forward your arguments and the employees could be saying, we don't feel this is right. We think we should do this. But then it's your boss's final decision. So you could say the ball's in their court. Let's see what they decide. So to go through them again, I've got nothing to say. The ball's in your court. You decide. The ball's in your court. We just have to wait. The ball's in their court now. Isn't the ball in your court? You have to decide. The ball's in their court. Let's see what they decide. Okay, the next one. This one actually is a war term. Down in flames. It actually comes from shot down in flames because in the times of war previously in the First World War and the Second World War, when the fighter jets were hit by bombers, the planes used to come down in flames. So it is a term that has to do with something being destroyed or something being ruined. It's today used as an idea that will not work. So it's a failure. So the sentences that use the term are, my brilliant idea was shot down in flames, meaning I told my idea to somebody, they didn't like it, they rejected it. Or my results went down in flames, meaning the results I got from my exams were very, very bad. We also have I got shot down in flames, meaning I put forward my opinion, I put forward my decisions, and they were rejected by somebody else. They shot my decisions, my ideas down in flames. Or they shot him down, meaning somebody else put forward their opinion, they told somebody their idea, and their idea was rejected by somebody else. Or she shot them down, meaning it could be a female boss who listened to her employees' arguments, for example, and then she had a counter-argument that discredited their opinion, and so she shot them down. And then we have they were shot down in flames, meaning, again, their ideas or their decisions or their opinions were rejected because there was no evidence or they didn't like their ideas. Okay, so let's go through them again. My brilliant idea was shot down in flames. My results went down in flames. I got shot down in flames. They shot him down. She shot them down. They were shot down in flames. Obviously, these can be changed around depending on who you're talking about and how you're talking about them. But this is the way that you can use this term. Okay, let's have a look at the next one. See eye to eye. Now this means to be in agreement. It means to accept another's point of view. So, if you don't accept another's point of view, you would say, we never see eye to eye, meaning we never agree. Or you could say, will we ever see eye to eye? You could question the fact and say, will we ever agree on a situation? And then we have, we always see eye to eye, which means we always agree with each other. And then the last one, they hardly ever see eye to eye, meaning they rarely see eye to eye, they rarely agree. Sometimes they agree, but mostly they don't agree. So if we go through them again, we never see eye to eye. Will we ever see eye to eye? We always see eye to eye. They hardly ever see eye to eye. Okay, the next one, splitting hairs. This means complaining about trivial things. Now, if you imagine your hair, how thin it is, if you split a hair, then it will be even thinner. And so this basically means that somebody is being very, very difficult or very, very awkward. They're splitting hairs. The hair is already so fine, and yet they're trying to split it even further. They're looking for the tiniest mistake, the tiniest problem to stop something happening. So, for example, the dress is fine, you're just splitting hairs now, meaning the person is wearing a dress, but there's something slightly wrong with it, and they're saying, oh, they don't like the dress. Or we could have, can we move on? We're wasting time splitting hairs, meaning they're in a situation, they need to make a decision, but somebody is complaining about the tiniest problems, and it's just wasting time. So they're splitting hairs by wasting time. The next one, do you always have to split hairs? Meaning the situation that they always have together results in somebody picking fault with the tiny little things that really can be ignored. The next one, there's no need to split hairs, meaning the situation is fine, stop looking for problems. And then finally, I knew he'd split hairs, meaning there's a person that you're dealing with who is always complaining, and he's heard about another situation, and again he's creating problems. He's creating problems about very tiny, trivial things that are really not important. So if we go through them again, the dress is fine, you're just splitting hairs now. Can we move on? You're wasting time splitting hairs. Do you always have to split hairs? There's no need to split hairs. I knew he'd split hairs. Okay, the next one. The next one's a fun one. Up for grabs. It means anyone can have it. It means anyone can have it. It means there's something available for a limited time. So let's have a look at how it's used. There's a holiday up for grabs if you enter the competition, meaning there's a holiday that you could get if you enter the competition. I can't go to the cinema tonight, so I have 2 tickets up for grabs. Who wants them? So again, there's 2 free tickets because somebody else can't go, so they're available for a short time because obviously the cinema, the film, will be over by the end of tonight. So if anybody wants them now, they can have them. We also have, if you book now, the best seats will be up for grabs, meaning that if you're going to book a plane ticket and you book early, then all the best seats will be available because they haven't been booked up yet. So they are up for grabs. So grab means to get hold of something quickly. So for example, if you look at the picture, the woman is standing there with money falling down around her, so she could grab as much money as she can as quickly as she can. Okay, then the next one, the best deals are up for grabs in the sales. So when the sales come around and the prices drop, then you get the best deals then. You can grab the best deals, you can catch the best deals. Okay, so let's go through them again. There's a holiday up for grabs if you enter the competition. I can't go to the cinema tonight, so I have 2 tickets up for grabs. Who wants them? If you book now, the best seats will be up for grabs. The best deals are up for grabs in the sales. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Kick or break the habit. It means stop doing something that is bad for you. So we have, you need to kick the habit of biting your nails. If you want to be successful, you have to kick some bad habits. Kick the habit of sleeping in too late. My New Year's resolution is to break my bad habits. Okay, so we had kick the habit or break the habit. Now, they both mean the same thing, so obviously kick and break are more metaphorical. It just means get rid of your habits. Stop doing something that is not good for you. Okay, the next one is a very, very, very common idiom. 24/7. It basically means 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So all the time. It's actually used as an exaggeration in English because nobody does anything 24/7. So for example, if you say, I've been working 24/7 lately, what you really mean is you've been working all the time. The next one, he complains 24/7, meaning he complains all the time. He complains 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, which isn't actually possible. It's an exaggeration, but it is used. She won't stop. She just cries 24/7. So if you have a baby girl and she won't stop crying, you could say she won't stop. She just cries 24/7. Then we have my son does nothing apart from sleep 24/7. And then the supermarket is open 24/7. Okay, the next one is a very common one in England because, well, it rains a lot. So, well, actually, I'm not going to show how this is used differently. I'm going to show you different phrases that mean the same thing. So the following phrases will mean to rain heavily. So they are expressions of heavy rain. So we can have, it's hammering outside, or it's hammering it down outside. We also have, it's raining cats and dogs. The next one, it's bucketing it down outside, meaning there's buckets of water falling out of the sky. Another one, it's a nice weather for ducks. So ducks are the only creatures that like to be out in the rain. And then it's pouring down outside, meaning the water is flowing very, very heavily out of the skies. Okay, so we have, it's hammering it down outside, it's raining cats and dogs, it's bucketing it down outside, it's nice weather for ducks, it's pouring down outside. Now the next expression, he was hammered, is different to it's hammering it down. Now this actually means drunk. The person is under the influence of alcohol. Now the following terms also mean the same thing. So he's hammered, he's legless, he's plastered, he's under the influence, which is more formal. Those are all terms for the person is drunk. Okay, the next one, the black sheep. The black sheep is the black sheep of a family, meaning they are the child or person in a family that has the worst reputation. So they're the ones that don't follow what everybody else does in the family. They go off and do their own thing. So we have, he's the black sheep of the family. So you're the black sheep. What's it like to be the black sheep? My brother's the black sheep. So basically when we think of sheep, we normally think of white fluffy animals. But in this case, it's a black sheep. It's the one that stands out. It doesn't fit in. So the black sheep is the worst child, or the one with the worst reputation that doesn't fit into the family. Okay, here we come to another very common idiom, killing two birds with one stone. It basically means to multitask. Now, if you imagine in the olden days when people used to hunt for animals so that they could eat, they may have tried to kill two birds with one stone, meaning they did better than just catching one bird. They managed to catch two. So this basically means to do a job well, or to multitask and do more than one job at the same time. So let's have a look at what we have. I can kill two birds with one stone, meaning if I do something, then I will have completed two jobs instead of one. why don't you just kill two birds with one stone? Meaning, do this one job which will actually be the same as doing two. The next one, you'll be killing two birds with one stone. She can kill two birds with one stone. I killed two birds with one stone last night. Meaning I did two jobs at the same time as I would have done one. So for example, it could be you went to see your mother because you had to go and collect something from her, but at the same time, because you went to see her, she was very happy to see you because she hadn't seen you in a long time. So not only did you manage to collect something, but you also made your mother happy at the same time just by going to see her. So you're killing two birds with one stone. You went to see her and made her happy, as well as collecting a pet to collect from her. So that would be killing two birds with one stone. Blind as a bat. It means you can't see or you are blind. Now, this is actually a slang term. It's not a term that you would use with everybody. It's mainly a term that you would use when you're with people that are very familiar to you, like friends and family. So you could say, he's as blind as a bat. It was right in front of him. She is as blind as a bat. You're as blind as a bat. You are as blind as a bat. Are you as blind as a bat? And stop acting like a blind bat. So this does not actually mean that the person is blind. It just means that they're acting like they're blind. They can't see something that's right in front of them. Although on the occasion it is used for people who are actually blind. Okay, the next one is a very common idiom. Get the sack or get fired. It basically means to lose your job. Your boss has told you to leave because either you weren't doing the job well or they simply didn't like you. So to get sacked or get fired means to be told to leave your job. Let's have a look at some sentences. He got the sack on Monday. She doesn't know how to tell everyone she was fired. You're sacked, his boss shouted. You're fired, her boss shouted. He was fired. So getting the sack and getting fired are different idioms but mean the same. Now the next one is similar to the other one, but this time it's hit the sack, and this is a completely different meaning. It simply means to go to bed. So when you hit the sack, in the olden days in the farming lands, they used to have sacks of grain, sacks of corn in the barns, and when the farmers used to get tired, they used to lie down on these sacks because they were comfortable. So, or they were the most comfortable thing in the barn rather than sleeping on the floor. So that is where the term comes from, to hit the sack. It means to lie down on the sack of grain because it would have been more comfortable to lie on them. Let's see these in some sentences. I'm beat. I'm going to hit the sack. It just means I'm really tired. I'm going to go to bed. Or, are you going to hit the sack? It's time to hit the sack. They're calling it a night. I'm going to hit the sack. What time did you hit the sack? So all this simply means, what time did you go to bed? Okay, the next one is a fishing term, off the hook. Now when we normally go fishing, we use a fishing line and a hook to catch the fish. Now, if you're on the hook, you've been caught. Literally, it means a fish has been caught on the hook, but figuratively, it means that you are guilty of something. So you've done something and you're on the hook, meaning you got caught doing something you shouldn't have been doing. But if you're off the hook, then you are free of blame. You're innocent. You got away with something. So let's have a look at some sentences. Let him go. He's off the hook. So he's innocent, so there's no need to keep hold of him. Are you off the hook? Meaning, are you in trouble? Did you get away with it? Are you innocent? Don't go anywhere. You're not off the hook yet. Meaning, this could be the police have taken you and they have some evidence against you and they're trying to find out if you're innocent or not. So you're not off the hook yet, meaning you might still be on the hook, you might be off the hook, but they don't know. Don't leave the building till you're off the hook, meaning nobody leave until we find out who the guilty party is. And the last one, they're not off the hook yet, meaning they haven't been proved innocent yet. So let's go through them again. Let him go, he's off the hook, he is innocent. Are you off the hook? Are you innocent? Don't go anywhere, you're not off the hook yet. Don't leave the building till you're off the hook. They're not off the hook yet. Okay, the next idiom is actually 3 idioms that I've put together. So we have easy peasy, a piece of cake, and easy as pie. So all of these mean easy. There's just different ways of saying easy. So something that is easy to do. So let's go through these sentences. I can do that. It's easy peasy. That's as easy as pie. Who can't do that? It's a piece of pie. That was a piece of cake. How can you not do that? It's easy peasy. Okay, staying with food now, here's another idiom. As nutty as a fruitcake, or nuts. These 2 terms simply mean the person is crazy or mad. Again, this is more of a slang phrase, and it's an expression of disbelief at someone's silly or ridiculous behaviour, crazy behaviour. So if someone says, you're as nutty as a fruitcake, then it means that you are crazy. They think you are crazy. Or you could say, you're totally nuts, meaning again, you're mad or you're crazy. Or, is he as nutty as a fruitcake? The next sentence, I didn't know he was that nutty. And then finally, did you know your son's actually nuts? So these are different ways of saying the similar thing. So nutty or nuts is the word that's used to mean crazy or mad. Okay, moving on to the next one. Spill the beans or spit it out. Now these basically mean a very similar thing, that's why I've put them together. And they usually mean to reveal a secret, or they are a command from somebody to know the truth. Now both of these are more slang terms, so you wouldn't use these in a professional setting. Some of these idioms you could use in a professional setting. The ones that I haven't said are slang, but this one is definitely a slang term. So if you say, come on, spill the beans, you're telling somebody to tell you the truth or tell you what's been happening. The next one, let's hear it, spit it out, meaning tell me quickly what you know. The next one, I'm waiting, spill the beans. Another one, you're not going till you spit it out. And then finally, I haven't got all day, just spill the beans. Okay, so spill the beans or spit it out simply means just tell me quickly. Now the next one is a really common idiom. I split my sides. This is actually one I use quite a lot. It means to laugh excessively. It means you found something so funny that it felt like your stomach was going to burst. You laughed so much. The sentences are, I laughed so hard I split my sides. Or I split my sides laughing. He was so funny I split my sides. You will split your sides, they're so funny. Now, this expression comes from stuffed toys. So if you imagine having a teddy bear and the teddy bear has stitching down the side of its body, and sometimes the stitching comes undone and the stuffing comes out, then that is where this term comes from. So you could be laughing so much and it's pretending that you have stitching down your side, and you split your stitching basically because you were laughing so much. So I split my sides basically means that you were just laughing a lot. Now the next one goes with the one that we've just seen, laughing my head off. Basically, again, it means laughing excessively. You found something so funny, it felt like your head was going to come off because you were laughing so much. So I was laughing my head off. I laughed my head off. They will laugh their heads off. You look like you've been laughing your head off, meaning you were either really crying or you had such a red face because you were laughing so much. I heard you laughing your head off from outside. So again, all these expressions are showing that somebody was laughing a lot because they found something so funny. Out of your mind. Now, this is a phrase that means shock or disapproval. So it literally means you are crazy or extremely worried, which are slightly different. So let's have a look at them in some sentences. Are you completely out of your mind? Meaning, are you completely crazy? Why would you do something like that? So if we have a look at the picture and you can see the woman dangling upside down, then somebody might say, are you completely out of your mind? What are you trying to do? Kill yourself. So moving on to the next one, she's out of her mind with worry. Now this is slightly different. This does not mean you're crazy. This means you're going crazy because you're so worried. Okay, so she's out of her mind with worry. She is so concerned, she's so upset because she is so worried. She's going crazy. The next one, she is going to argue with him. Is she out of her mind? Meaning, why is she going to do something so crazy? Why is she going to argue with somebody? He's parachuting next week. He's out of his mind. So somebody could say, when they hear somebody is going to be parachuting, that is a crazy thing to do. Okay, and then the last one, they are going to the jungle. Are they out of their minds? So they found out that somebody is going to do something that's really unusual, and they're saying that is a crazy thing to do. So we have, are you completely out of your mind? She's out of her mind with worry. She's going to argue with him. Is she out of her mind? He's parachuting next week. He's out of his mind. They are going to the jungle. Are they out of their minds? Okay, the next one is a funny one, and one that I tend to use a lot. And it is put a sock in it. It basically means don't talk. You're talking too much or you're making too much noise. It is also a slang phrase. So you only really use this with friends or family or people that won't be offended by this term. It's definitely not a term that you would use with your boss. So, enough, just put a sock in it now. You are getting on my nerves, just put a sock in it. Can you put a sock in it? Now the it is your mouth. So basically the term means put a sock in your mouth, stop talking. The next one, when are you going to put a sock in it? And are you going to put a sock in it? Meaning, are you going to be quiet? Okay, so here's another one of my favourites, living it up. It means having a good time. So if you're having a good life and enjoying your life, then you are living it up. So let's see this in a few sentences. He moved to Australia and is now living it up. I'm living it up at the moment. Your son must be living it up now at uni. I heard you're all living it up in London. I heard your sister's been living it up since she left home. So it just means that they're all having a good time. Okay, this is another one of my favourites. Now, I've put two expressions together because copycat is an old term and the new version of it is like a Xerox machine. Now, a Xerox machine is the old photocopier, and sometimes rather than saying photocopier because it's so long, people tend to just say Xerox or Xerox machine, and it means to copy, so to imitate behaviour. So, you are such a copycat, meaning you copied what I did, or you copied or imitated what I said or what I wore. So, you are such a copycat. Then there's their copycat, meaning they copied somebody else, they imitated somebody else. Or he's like a Xerox, meaning he's like a Xerox machine, he's like a photocopier, he copied what they did. The next one, what's your middle name? Xerox, meaning somebody has just copied something you've done or said and you didn't like it. And then, what are you? Xerox, meaning why are you copying me? Why have you copied what I've done or said? Okay, and my bonus one, a sight for sore eyes. This simply means happy to see you. It means somebody has been through a difficult time and then somebody else has appeared and made them feel much better. So it's someone that you're glad to see after a difficult time. So for example, if I've been having a lot of stress and at work and then suddenly my daughter appears, I might say, "You're a sight for sore eyes. My eyes have been getting sore doing all this work, and now seeing you has made me feel better." The next term, "I heard you went to see your grandmother. You must have been a sight for sore eyes," meaning your grandmother has been missing you, and now that she's seen you, she now feels much better that you went to see her. And then also a sight for sore eyes. Sore eyes could mean that somebody's been crying, they've been upset, their eyes have got sore because they've been missing somebody, and then when they see that person, then that is a sight for their sore eyes. So, "I'm so glad to see you, you're a sight for sore eyes." So meaning they've been very upset lately, but now that they've seen somebody, they feel much, much better. And now finally, another bonus idiom that is one of my favourites, and that's chickened out. It means got scared and didn't do what was expected. It's an expression of cowardice. It's also one of those slang phrases that you would only use amongst friends and family. So let's have a look at some sentences. He was going to see the boss but chickened out. Basically, he was going to go and talk to his boss, but then he got scared and then didn't go. Or, did you talk to her or chicken out? So somebody was going to have a conversation with somebody about something probably unpleasant, and then they decided not to, so they chickened out. Or, you chickened out, didn't you? Meaning you didn't do what you said you were going to do. And then the next one, I knew you'd chicken out, meaning I knew you didn't have the courage to go and talk to that person, or I knew you wouldn't be brave enough. And then finally, you chickened out. Basically meaning you were so scared to go and approach the person or tell them something, or there was something that you had to do, but then you got too scared and then didn't do it. So you chickened out. So that is my all-time favourite idiom, and I hope you enjoyed all of those. Okay, let's have a recap of all these idioms. So we had get along with or get on with, hang in there, the last straw, glad to see the back of it, knee-jerk reaction, getting out of hand, the ball's in your court, down in flames, see eye to eye, splitting hairs, up for grabs, kick or break the habit, 24/7, it's hammering outside, he was hammered, black sheep, kill two birds with one stone, blind as a bat, get the sack or get fired, hit the sack, off the hook, easy peasy or piece of cake, nutty as a fruit cake or nuts, spill the beans, spit it out, split my sides, laughing my head off, out of your mind, put a sock in it, living it up, copycat or Xerox, and the bonus ones, a sight for sore eyes and chickened out. So I hope you enjoyed those and you got a lot from it and you now understand how to use them in different ways. Hope this video helped you and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!
If this video helped you, then please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also tell us in the comments section below if there are any other videos you'd like us to make. Thanks!